Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and this is Lore and Theory. Today we're talking about the next enemies after the created, or even an enemy due to unite us and the created sooner than we think. Today, we're talking about the threat of ancient humanity. I have theorised many times before about who the next enemy could be. I've guessed that the Flood coming back in a big way could be the next enemy, or that the Didact actually survived being composed and is due a return as a more palpable threat than we've ever seen. Perhaps more Forerunners exist and survived the firing of the Halos and are due to attempt to reclaim their technology and their position as holders of the mantle. Perhaps the Precursors test is what is next on the agenda for us, as the test certainly isn't the Flood. Or maybe the Precursors themselves. The Covenant in a new form could make a return, since the Prophets have disappeared completely, and there is still the Banished perhaps being more significant than the one we encountered on the Ark in Halo Wars 2. Insurrectionists could finally organise themselves in a big way and be of major concern, or maybe even Oni themselves are to be the next new enemy. In one regard or another, I have covered every single one of these possibilities in one or many of my other videos in the past. But there is one faction that I actually haven't considered as much of a threat, when in reality it is likely to be the most likely one, if what we've seen in Halo Infinite is to be believed. Ancient humanity, the humanity that existed long before the firing of the arrays, was so advanced and so powerful in their technology, sciences and philosophies that they managed to hold their own against a two-front war between both the Forerunners' combined might and the Flood's merciless onslaught. The power and significance required to achieve such a feat cannot be downplayed. Ancient humanity were widely considered to be the Forerunners' equal in many cases, and in some cases their superior, especially in the eyes of the Precursors. You have to remember that humanity had first achieved interstellar travel over 1 million years ago, meaning that ancient humanity over 1 million years ago were more developed and more accomplished than humanity are today. Ancient humanity had colonised planets across the Orion Arm towards the galactic border, and became a major political and military power rivaling the Forerunners. Indeed, the Didact considered them the second greatest military power, and the latest challenge to the Forerunner influence. Humanity were on average larger, stronger, and significantly more intelligent than modern humans. But there's no way that ancient humanity could be an enemy to us. Surely. They're us. We are the same species. It'd be like going to war with family. Well, let's not jump the gun here, as although we are the same species, we have very, very little else in common, and the biggest gulf in our differences arises in regards to our intelligence. Modern humans share 99% of our genomes with our closest living relatives, the chimpanzees, and yet that 1% difference between the two translates from being a chimp and being taught sign language to ask for treats, yet never asking a question in pursuit of knowledge, to being human and asking the most fundamental and profound questions we have ever asked, being able to seek and share knowledge and build and create and develop and innovate, and have that cycle run to the point where chimps have remained relatively consistent in their development for most of their evolutionary lifespans, and humans going from hunter-gatherers in the African savannah to inhabiting nearly every corner of the globe and building whole cities and environments for ourselves and harnessing the resources of the planet for our own gains. Now, although we don't intend chimpanzees any direct harm, and we're certainly not at war with them, and in general we don't go out of our way to come into conflict with them, if their habitats lay within an area we require to expand into, we do appear to simply trample over them and destroy their homes so we can achieve what we set out to do, rightly or wrongly. This is the reality we as modern humans are faced with. But it does seem remarkable that simple 1% difference in our DNA has led to such massive differences in our intelligence and ability to shape the world to our will. But now imagine another species, another humanoid species, 1% different again to us. Imagine how much more sophisticated and developed they would be. Imagine the immense things they could create and build. Their philosophies on the value of existence, their ethics, their morality, their technologies and sciences. The difference between them and us could be as large, as incredible, as profound as the difference between us and chimps. Suppose that 1% difference between humans and chimps is exactly as small as it sounds. On an evolutionary timescale, humans, even in the 26th century, have basically only just come down from the trees and begun walking upright. We are a species so new to intelligence that it quite possibly can't even be called that. Our egos would tell us we must be something special because we have dominated our planet, are the most intelligent and dominant species, and have been able to shape the planet to our advantage and building our own environments altogether. We also seem to think that we can defeat any challenge we are presented with. This is, of course, very, very egotistical of us as a species, and the idea of encountering an alien civilization far in advance of our own is often greeted with foolhardy excitement, eagerness, and curiosity. But this is absolutely the wrong response to meeting a species that likely have the power to extinguish us as simply as pouring boiling water in an anthill. The only way we can come to realise how egotistical and naive we really are is if we set aside our egos and consider how new humans are to the planet as a whole and how much longer other species have been around before us, and the very nature of our juvenile timescales here on this planet belies our naivety. So far I've been talking of the genetic differences between chimps and humanity, and then the possible differences between humanity and ancient humans. But in the same regard, we could have identical DNA, but our intelligence, our intellect could be so vastly different, it wouldn't even be funny. Imagine bringing the very first human that got down from the trees and started walking upright to our modern world and showing it to them for the first time, with no concept of science, technology, physics, computing, electronics, or anything. This being would look upon a world so alien to it, so shocking to the system, that everything it witnessed would be reality-shattering and immensely unfathomable. That's the level of intelligence differences we're dealing with between humanity and ancient humanity in the Halo universe. A species that achieved our level of intelligence, but have existed millions of years longer than us, could be so far in advance of our level of thinking and understanding that their science, technology, philosophy, and perspectives on life and the universe could be so in advance of our own that we wouldn't even recognise it as such. Their apparent motivations would be completely and utterly meaningless to us, because our feeble human intellects just wouldn't be able to comprehend it. And if we can't even recognise how or why they come to certain conclusions, or the motivations behind their actions and the knowledge they wield, there is no hope, absolutely no hope whatsoever, that we could possibly either build relations between our species or capably defend ourselves should it turn to violence. Indeed, we cannot even be guaranteed that our idea of conflict, violence, and war is even on the same level as them. Our best, most concerted efforts and most effective applications of force could be no more of a threat to them as is an earthworm to us. This could very well be the form of humanity that we could potentially encounter should ancient humans still exist somewhere in the galaxy. Although we would be genetically related, being the same species, in all other senses, they'd be entirely alien to us. Humanity have a long and blood-filled history of fighting amongst ourselves. Medieval conquests, 2 world wars, terrorism, rebellions, civil wars and insurrections have all carved a bloody path through the eras. The arrival of the Covenant united humanity for the first time, but are we due to return to our roots? Just because ancient humanity are as human as we are, doesn't mean they're our friend. And when you add to that 100,000 years of separated divergent evolution and development, and the millions of years of history the ancient humans still know ahead of our own perceived histories, you have a very real possibility of these differences spilling over into outright conflict. The Covenant hammered the 26th century humanity for 30 years, but were likely only 1,000 years or so more advanced technologically speaking, and we ate that time difference up due to our innovativeness and reverse engineering of their technology. Ancient humanity will have at the very least 100,000 years on us, and likely significantly more. So if the Covenant pushed us to the brink of extinction in 30 years, would a meeting between ancient humans and modern humans in the Halo universe even be an encounter worth thinking about? Is it something we even really want? I don't know, but I'd love to find out. Thanks for watching. Stick your comments down below, I look forward to what you have to say. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons, Satenchi the Silent Cartographer, Brian Sebastian, Defiant Alpha 117, Nathan and Red Sea, the holders of the mantle, Darian, Ty, Black Biscuit, J Rabbit, Austin, Kaiser and Silux, my reclaimers, Zach, Deep Cover, Verbal Statue, Spesigo, Spartan A498, Guppy, Josh, Mickey and Bastian, my Metarchs, and all the other patrons that have jumped aboard to support the channel. You guys are awesome and this wouldn't be possible without you. If you like Halo lore discussed to insane levels of detail, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you're told the second a new video hits the shelves. If you really love the channel, consider heading over to Patreon and supporting the channel over there. It would mean the world to me and would free up more of my time to put into this content and other Halo related goodness. Remember, be sure to support us on all social media channels including Discord, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.